It is 8:20 in the morning, and I just got a phone call from the rock delivery guy. He is at the bottom of my driveway right now, trying to figure out how to get turned into here. There's plenty of space to turn around once he's actually on the property, but the problem is going to be making that turn into the property. I'm going to go meet him now and see what I can do to help him, which probably isn't much. Hopefully the truck can make it. I've been getting rock delivery in just a normal dump truck. This guy, though, I figured out last night, is coming in a giant belly dump. So like a 53-foot trailer. So he is going to attempt to back his truck down the driveway. The driveway is roughly 1,000 feet. So it's a long way to go backwards, especially with the 53-foot trailer. But there's no way he can come in from the other direction going forward because he's going to take out the mailbox. I feel like a fool because had I known he was driving a 53-foot trailer, I would have told him to come a different direction to my property. So he could have come in from the other side and he could go turn around, but it's a 20-mile trek to do so from where we're at now, at least. He might get this one. He might still have to do a multi-point turn, but he's getting closer at least. And if he winds up taking out some shrubbery, I don't care. I know he doesn't want to hit any trees in that. It's got about 8 tons or 7 yards of rock in there. I'm getting 210 tons total of rock delivery. And I am being eaten alive by mosquitoes as I stand out here in the woods. By the house, the mosquitoes are almost non-existent, but in the woods, it's asinine. He's gonna get out and check his position, see if he can get turned around a bit more. Okay, he's getting turned around here. Come around. Hopefully, I pray this works. I pray this works. What a pain for these gentlemen. Oh my God, these drivers are going to be so frustrated with this job by the time they're done. It's going to take them 2 days to deliver all the rock, and doing this multiple times. Woo! Can't get turned to where he can get going the right direction. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Well, it's a good thing you got here 2 hours early, because it gives him 2 hours to turn around. Okay, he's got this. This is it. Down he comes. Wow, poor guy. look at that rock. Have you ever seen such beautiful rock? This is exactly what I wanted. No fines in it, no sand, no debris, very clean, crushed rock. This is going to be beautiful. We did kind of create a berm on the sides of the driveway to hold that rock in so it doesn't get pushed off to the sides. You know, I'll have to come in and rake it in every now and then, but I am perfectly okay with doing that. Yeah, beautiful. And I'm so glad that I have my friends here again to help me out. This makes life very, very good for me. This is where we're at now. After the first dump, it's a little thicker than it should be, but it's the best we really can do with that belly dump. If it was a dump truck, a pup truck even, we could spread this out a bit thinner. But with the belly dumps, it's almost impossible. It's taken us an hour and a half to get to this point where we're at. And we probably spread only 100 foot of drive. We have a long way to go. It's going to be a very exhausting day. Here's the second delivery of the morning. It's been about 2 hours since the first one. He did come from the direction that we asked him not to. And so we made him go up the road and turn around. And now he's coming down the road and we'll be turning into the driveway momentarily. And hopefully he can make this turn. Unfortunately, the bulldozer is in the middle of the driveway right now. But yes, he should be able to make this turn much better. Oh, that's sweet. Yes. That is perfect. Okay. I'm going to manually control the dump of the rock. And so he's following along and pushing a button on the dump itself to get the rock to come out. We're trying to get it thinner this time than we did the last time. So yeah, that's definitely thinner, at least by a bit. Not much, but it might be to our benefit. Now, the trick is to see if he can make it down the rest of the driveway and turn around, which is why I designed the property the way I did, was to see if I could get them space to turn around in case I ever got a big delivery like this. To get you an idea of how deep the rock is right here, if I go down to the soil, I'm about to my second knuckle, so about 2 inches deep, which is what it should be. In some areas, the rock is really thin, like along the edge, and then in other areas, the rock is really deep. You can see there's a ridge there. I'm hoping that's showing up on camera. So wherever there's an area that's just too deep, I've been coming back along and putting in some of these markers to tell my friend on the bulldozer over there that would like to have this spread out thinner. I ordered 210 tons of rock to cover the front of the property and the driveway. I don't know that the 210 tons is going to go as far as I want because we're not able to get it as thin as we had hoped. So we'll just have to see how everything goes. But like I said, long and exhausting day this is going to be. Third truck. Probably going to make it another 100 feet. And like I said, it's about 1,000 feet long. So it's 10 truckloads is only going to get us here. And I think we're only getting 8. So the bulldozer is back dragging the rock because that allows for a smoother spread of all of this 3/4 minus. When the bulldozer is going forward, there's a tendency for any slight manipulation to the left or to the right of the blade to dig into the ground and basically rip up all the rock that was just spread. So by back dragging it, as you can see that he's doing here now, he's getting a much smoother distribution of all of this rock. So currently he's on his way back down the driveway going forward, and then he's going to come all the way back again, back dragging everything to try to smooth it all out. But there are quite a few high spots that need to be leveled out, and so we're coming along with rakes to do so, and then also putting in these orange markers anywhere where he's going to need to come in and pull that rock out of that area. This is the last delivery for today. We're cutting it off, and then we're going to get the rest of the deliveries done with a normal dump truck and a pup truck, which will allow us to get a more even spread and hopefully get us the rock where we need it to be. These belly dump trucks are just way too long. So that's as far as we made it today, which was to the end of the driveway. But the area still closest to the road still needs a load of rock on it. And then, of course, all of this needs rock. So around the bunkhouse there, that parking pad, around this circle drive, in front of the cabin, and the areas on the sides of the cabin needs to be done. And then behind the cabin also. Before I go around the cabin, I want to take a moment and go back in time and remind you that there used to be trees right up against the cabin. Those trees have since been removed, and part of the reason why I did that was because of the winds, which you can hear now, which would cause those trees to sway so not violently but dramatically that I was afraid they were going to break and come crashing down on the cabin itself. I did have a couple break right next to the cabin before I moved in, and I had to cut those up and get them out of the way. But to prevent any more from falling and hitting the cabin, I had the trees removed. Then I had some more trees removed over here on this part of the property. And the reason for doing that was to help create a fire break. When you live in the woods, it's vital to have defensible space between your cabin and the tree line. So that's why I had all of these trees over here taken down. Now, I've heard everything from 50 feet of defensible space to 100 feet. Well, I can tell you that from the woodshed here to the edge of the rock right there is 60 feet. And then from that edge to the tree line is another 40 feet. So I have 100 foot of defensible space. I've also heard it said that you want, see this very tall tree right there, that you want the tallest tree to not be able to fall and hit your cabin. But when it comes to fires, you don't want the winds to carry those embers and hit your structure. As you know, Alaska has wildfires every year. This year actually hasn't been as bad as some years, with about 1 million acres burned. I think it was 2016, there were over 5 million acres burned. But one of the things with every wildfire that happens in Alaska is there are homes lost every single year. This year has been no exception to that. There were a number of homes, a number of structures lost in the Bear Creek fire up by Denali. And I believe that estimate is 72 units or 72 structures lost. There were another 27, I believe, lost. I'll put the numbers up on the screen to confirm those numbers. Lost in a fire not too far from there. There have been, I think at one point there was 27 active fires in Alaska. So fires are a real danger here. Most of the fires this year were caused, if not all of them, by lightning strikes. And as you can see, there's a storm brewing overhead. So that's one of the things that, is a real threat here, is the storms with the high winds and then thunder and lightning being the real cause here of the fires. But I want to make sure that I have defensible space. So that's why I've cleared as much area around my cabin as I have. I don't want to take down any more trees than I have to. I love the trees. I love the view of the trees and the shelter that they provide to the wildlife that's here, what have you. But defending my cabin is a major part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. So having the rock down has helped to minimize the number of mosquitoes that I've had around. So there's one way I'm defending my cabin, but that's very minute. But getting those trees out of the way, getting the grasses and the shrubbery away from the cabin is another way I'm defending it. There are other things that I could do to further defend my cabin from fires. And one of those is that I could install a fire retardant system on my cabin.
A homeowner can put this long-lasting fire protective gel coating onto their home. When they come back, their house is still standing after that fire goes through.
But should the power go out, that fire retardant system might not be operable. The other thing that I could do is I could buy insulated fire blankets that you wrap your home in the event that there's an approaching wildfire and you have time to defend your home further than you already have prior to being forced to evacuate. In my case, if it was just me here, as is most of the time of the year, it would probably take me a full day, maybe two, to wrap my entire cabin from ground to the roof. The roof would be the only thing not wrapped, but all the way up to the bottom of the middle roof right there would get wrapped in this fireproof insulating barrier. What that does is it not only protects your home from embers and flames that might come up against it, and it also protects your contents of your home because it helps to radiate the heat away. So that is one thing that I'm looking at. It's actually not as costly as one might think to have those items on hand. But you got to have the staples to staple it into your home, and you got to be able to take all the staples out when it's said and done. So just something to keep in mind. But here are some pictures of a cabin, a little structure that was wrapped in some of that insulating barrier. Prior to the fire coming up on it, the fire totally engulfing around the cabin. And then once the flames had died out, you can see that the structure is still standing. So that is something that I might look at investing in for my property here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the bunkhouse does not have that same defensible space around it. So in that case, I would definitely want to install some of that fire barrier, protective radiant barrier around that unit. Though the roof would have to be done too. So everything on that would have to be covered. But the chances of surviving a fire would greatly increase if I were to do something like that. So just to let you guys know where I'm at and what my thoughts are going forward to protect my home against the potential of a forest fire in this area or a wildfire in this area. This area has not seen a wildfire in many, many decades. I pray that it's many, many more and it doesn't happen in my lifetime. However, if it should, I want to make sure that this home is still standing when that fire clears out. So I also want to let everybody know that there will not be a video next week. My daughter is coming into town. Yay, I'm so excited. So I'm going to be spending my time with her because I don't know when she'll have the opportunity to come up and visit again. And so no video next week, but I will be back in 2 weeks' time. So just be aware of that. Until then, I hope everyone is staying safe. And please take care as always and enjoy your summer. I'll see you when I get back, or you'll see me one way or the other.